Hello and welcome to the Mark Dolan Show from a very blustery central London where there are storm clouds brewing over the royal family following the fallout from allegations around Prince Andrew. It is a disaster. This is the biggest threat to the British monarchy in a century. So we know that Andrew is no longer the Duke of York, Sarah is no longer the Duchess of York, but further allegations today heap pressure on King Charles to act further, to do more, to take down the black sheep of the family, Prince Andrew. Now, I'll give you details of those fresh allegations in just a moment, but there is an elephant in the room, and that elephant is Harry, because Prince Harry has wreaked just as much damage on the royal family as Andrew. Now, Andrew has got terrible judgment. He's made awful life choices. He's greedy. He's obsessed with money. He's incredibly libidinous, right? This is a guy that was known as Randy Andy. He chases women, and his appetite for women seems to have got him into unbelievable levels of trouble, particularly in relation to his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, a truly wicked man whose crimes we cannot go into detail with on a family show. But deeply flawed though he is, it's actually Harry that is the individual that has set out to proactively damage the royal family. So Andrew has damaged the royal family with bad decisions and his sexual appetite. But what you got with Harry is actually a deliberate scorched earth policy, a focused campaign to hurt the monarchy, to hurt Charles, to hurt William, to hurt Catherine, and to hurt the whole institution. And that's why, if Andrew is giving up his dukedom and must be in exile and be on the naughty step for the rest of his life, which of course he must, well, then Harry should too. Because Harry literally wrote a book in which, in a premeditated manner, he peddled lies and misinformation about the royal family, exaggerated how terrible things were when he was a serving royal, revealed unnecessary levels of detail about his relationship with his brother, his stepmother, Queen Camilla, and of course, his father, King Charles. So there it is in black and white. You've got Andrew, who basically can't resist a lady. He is a libidinous personality and, lives beyond his means, thinks he's the king, and he hasn't got the budget for that. But he's just a fool, isn't he? He's just a naive fool who must follow his rather sort of primal instincts. With Harry, it's a completely different story. This is a strategy. And of course, we know who is at the heart of it. We know who the architect of this scorched earth policy on the royal family is. My husband. Of course, it's Meghan, and Harry is her useful idiot. But what I would say is that now that King Charles has shown a backbone and been firm with Andrew to say, actually, you're not going to be the Duke of York anymore. You're going to lose your membership of the Order of the Garter, and you're essentially going to have to just disappear without trace and become a commoner. Why can't he say the same thing to Harry? I don't think Harry should be Duke of Sussex anymore. The couple, Harry and Meghan, use that title in order to get clicks. Meghan uses it to boost her social media platform, and she uses it to push her failed projects like the As Ever brand, which has no products apart from a couple of jars of jam and the flour sprinkles, my delicious flour sprinkles and lavender towels that go in the refrigerator. So she's got a non-existent business, but she uses the branding of the royal family as Duchess in order to try to sort of basically make money. And it's the same thing with the TV show on Netflix. As a proud Brit, it really irritates me to see Meghan calling herself Duchess, because she's not a Duchess. And therefore, at the end of her TV show on Netflix, it says, executive producer, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. Don't give her the pleasure. Charles, take that away from Harry and Meghan. If Andrew, who has damaged the royal family, loses his dukedom, then Harry must as well. Why? Because they have, in different ways, Harry and Andrew wreaked enormous damage on the royal family. And in fact, it's unfair on Andrew for this punishment not to be evenly distributed. And as I've said, it was actually Harry that set out to hurt the family. That was his ambition. That was the goal. That is the Sussex project, to destroy the royal family. Let me know in the comments, do you think that Meghan actually wants to bring down the royal family? I don't know what Harry thinks. I don't think Harry thinks anything because he's under Meghan's spell. He just ploms around the place. Oh, hello, I'm Prince Harry, world's least happy millionaire, and I do what Meghan says until she files for divorce. Humpy dumpy dumpy dump. So I don't think Harry has got a brain of his own and a mind of his own. And I think that Meghan decides everything. So, but let me know in the comments, is Meghan trying to destroy the royal family? Well, I think she is, and it would be a lot harder for her to do that if she didn't have the royal branding, if she was not Duchess of Sussex. You can't have it both ways. You cannot attack the royal family and say how awful it was when you were a serving royal, and then in the same breath, go around, I'm Her Royal Highness. I know I said to the Queen I wouldn't call myself HRH, but I'll be doing that in correspondence with my friends and when I send them the weird hampers and the picnic goodies and all the rest of it. It will say HRH Meghan Markle. And when someone calls me HRH, I'll share it on Instagram with the world. So that's what I would do. I would take away their titles. It would require an act of parliament. And what an excellent use of parliamentary time, because the royal family are part of the image of this country. And if Britain is going to bounce back and recover and become a successful global predominant, economic powerhouse, diplomatic powerhouse, all the rest of it, one thing we've got to do is have a healthy, fit for purpose monarchy. And you can't have hangers on like Harry and Meghan and absolute abject, highly libidinous fools who cannot ignore the call of his own primal nature, Prince Andrew. You can't have these people hanging around. You must get rid. You've got to clean house. And it's Harry that's got to do, Charles that's got to do that. If Charles doesn't do that, things are going to get worse and worse for the monarchy. And the person inheriting that whole horrible headache will be William. And he doesn't deserve that because William has suffered enough. William has had a miserable time of the last. He said, I don't even have to tell you. It's not my interpretation. Speaking to the brilliant comedian and TV host Eugene Levy, he said last year was the hardest year of my life. It was harder than the year in which his mother lost her life in a Paris tunnel. Last year was worse than that. Imagine having a year which is worse than the year where your mother is killed in a car crash at a young age. And that's what he's been through. And the last thing he needs now is to have to deal with Harry being Duke of Sussex and causing more damage. And we've seen now this week the amount of damage that Andrew has been able to cause. Well, Harry, when William becomes king, right, in terms of like damaged royal family, Harry can look at Prince Charles and say, hold my beer, because I will do far worse. Now, the developments, the revelations around Andrew are truly, truly shocking. So first of all, a leading politician has publicly demanded an explanation from the royal family over how Andrew allegedly funded a $15 million settlement with Virginia Giuffre in 2022. Well, we think that Queen Elizabeth, who of course doted on Andrew, and that's why Andrew is such a problematic person, is because he's a spoiled brat just like Harry, overindulged by his mother, who waited a long time to have her second son, and he was very good looking and he was very cute, and they ruined him. Philip and Elizabeth did a really bad job. I think that is provably true if you look at the fact that Andrew's life is a hot mess. He's very arrogant, and when you're arrogant, that's actually an insecurity. It's a reaction to trauma. He's a narcissist. That is a reaction to trauma. He has this self-belief, which is beyond the stratosphere. He's got more self-belief than Elon Musk and Donald Trump rolled together. And yet he's achieved nothing. He's achieved nothing. There is not a single thing that he's achieved in his life. But he's super arrogant. And the reason why is because people do that. Narcissistic personalities do that as a result of some kind of early episode in their life, some kind of trauma, some kind of insecurity. You could argue that maybe Andrew has suffered the curse of the spare, just like Harry. It's not easy being less relevant than your older brother who's going to become king. I mean, look, I'm not bringing out the small violins, but it could be a factor. But the bottom line is that it's very, very true regarding Andrew. There is a case to answer about that money paid to Virginia Giuffre. And can I say something that one of you mentioned in the comments, which I thought was very, very wise?
When you're at home, you want to be safe, happy, and secure. It's why we have locks on the front door. So why not have the same online? Unfortunately, when you're using your computer, tablet, or smartphone, companies can track you, exploit your data, and see exactly what you're up to. And I don't want anyone finding out about my cat video habit. Plus, there are bad actors out there, hackers, scammers, viruses, bots, malware, all ready to make your life miserable. Not to mention those endless annoying ads that aren't nearly as entertaining as this one. That's why I use Surfshark VPN. Surfshark VPN is a virtual private network that protects you online, an invisible shield that hides your location and keeps you and your data private. And here's the fun part. It also unlocks content from around the world. So, do you want to watch NBC without being in America or the BBC without being in the UK? No problem. Surfshark is safe, secure, and opens up a whole world of global content. Plus, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee so you can try it completely risk-free. And here's the deal. If you go to surfshark.com/Dolan or use the code Dolan at checkout, you'll get 4 extra months absolutely free. That is surfshark.com/Dolan or code Dolan for 4 extra months free. Right, even though I'm in Britain, I'm now off to a US website to watch season 3 of Suits. Meghan's brilliant in it.
Virginia Giuffre, the circumstances of her passing. What on earth is going on? So this is a woman, this poor woman, who obviously has had a horrific life from day one. And Andrew denies allegations that he had intimate relations with her. She's got a book coming out in a couple of days, and doubtless she's going to dish the dirt on the former Duke of York. But the bottom line is that she was in a car accident, which was obviously tragic and awful, in Western Australia, where she was living at the end of her life. And she puts a message on social media saying, "I've got days to live, and I just hope my family can be here in time before I pass." At which point, the police of Western Australia dismissed this interpretation of events and said, no, nothing to see here. Minor collision with no serious casualties. And the medics also dismissed her claim that she had days to live as a result of a catastrophic car crash. She then goes home to recuperate, and then days later, the poor woman has gone, right? She has shuffled off this mortal coil. That nice boat over there? Lovely jubbly. It's the river bus. You're welcome. This woman has passed by her own hand. Right? She's taken her own life. Epstein took his own life. There's a lot of people who conveniently have taken their own lives. As you know, Epstein, in a prison cell where the CCTV camera stopped working for a few minutes, at that moment when he took his own life, right? This is in America. This is the most sophisticated country in the world that gave the university the iPhone. And Giuffre takes her own life. And one of you pointed out in the comments, why would you take your own life when you have just cleared a check, right, in your bank account for the best part of $15 million, 12 million pounds? Why would you do that? The whole thing stinks, and it's very, very strange, and lots more is going to come out of it. I think, by the way, that there should be a very special act of Parliament, and it's called the Harry and Andrew Cancellation Act. Do you like the sound of that? The Harry and Andrew Cancellation Act, in which, in one fell swoop, they are both stripped of not just Duke of York, because here's the problem. People don't realize this. Andrew is still the Duke of York. Did you know that? Ist nochmal der Duke in Yorken. Es gibt. Es ist keine Frage. Auf die Treppe schnell! He's still the Duke of York. And the reason what's happened is that he has agreed to stop using his title, the Duke of York. I need legislation. I need an act of Parliament. And it's going to be the Harry and Andrew Cancellation Act 2025. And it's actually law that they are no longer dukes, Because, by the way, don't you feel sorry for the people of York? It's a lovely city, York, and with a great cathedral and everything. York stone, do you know about York stone? It's this wonderful sort of light brown, sort of sandy stone. All the buildings are constructed with it. York is absolutely beautiful. And then also Sussex, right? These two great English counties that have had to carry the burden of representing Harry and Andrew. Imagine if your whole city is represented by someone like Prince Harry. Can you think of anything worse? Can you imagine if New York was represented and Harry was the Duke of New York? Wouldn't that be terrible for the Big Apple? I swear to God, everyone would leave. The city would be empty within days. Oh, hello, I'm Prince Harry, and I'm really happy to be the Duke of New York. And I mean, I do find the skyscrapers a bit annoying, you know. The elevators are so slow, and I don't enjoy heights. I've got vertigo. And I don't really understand what anyone's saying because the New York accent's so confusing. They all say, New York, New York. I don't understand it. And I don't enjoy hot dogs. And I think the Hudson River's sort of ugly. It's really murky water, and I don't really like it. But I'm very happy to be the Duke of New York. I mean, it's a curse, isn't it, on a town or a region to have a public figure associated with you that is so foolish and so embarrassing. York, the same thing. The idea that Andrew was the Duke of York literally just days ago is a tragedy for the people of York. They need somebody incredible to be the Duke of York. They need someone like, just imagine if Elton John was the Duke of York, okay? Because what that means is you live in York, and this guy, this iconic rock star, just turns up maybe a couple of times a year, to open a hospital wing or something. And he turns up in a Bentley or a Rolls Royce. He gets out of the car and he's Sir Elton John. And he wrote Your Song and Candle in the Wind and Crocodile Rock. And he's like, I'm the Duke of York and I'm Sir Elton John and I own this town. And the people of York would just be, it would be beyond, wouldn't it? So what you need is a great celebrity representing your town, not Prince Harry and not Randy Andy. Oh God, I've got so many girlfriends at the moment. Yeah, I can't resist it really. I'm just one of those guys with a big libido, I can't help it. I'm best mates with Jeffrey Epstein. He and I were like thick as thieves. I mean, it's beyond. It's beyond. So what I would do is have this parliamentary legislation and I would strip them of the dukedom so it's official. Because then I can go to bed at night and you can go to bed at night knowing that they're not dukes. It's not enough that they don't use the title. Andrew is still technically the Duke of York. So, and then there's another amazing benefit from Harry in particular and Andrew having an act of parliament. Do you know what that is? Let me know in the comments. Can you guess? What is the absolutely amazing thing that happens if they're stripped of their duke titles through an act of parliament? Shall I tell you what it is? It's so good. It means that legally, they are no longer princes either. They are no longer princes. Now, in the last video, I said it was complicated for Andrew to stop being a prince because he's the son of Queen Elizabeth, and therefore he is Prince Andrew. That's his name. Now, that is true. That is true. But there's more to that than meets the eye, because if you have a letters patent, which will be part of a parliamentary legislation, okay, then it can be rescinded. So you've got this big, beautiful bill. Who came up with that expression? But you would have this amazing piece of law, which would say that both of those men, Harry and Andrew, who I consider two sides of the same awful coin, are no longer dukes, and they are no longer prince as well. You would have Harry Mountbatten Windsor and Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, and that's it. Come on. Don't you like the sound of that? So we've got to do it. It gets worse with Andrew because reports now suggest in today's newspapers that the Metropolitan Police, which is the main police force of London, are investigating claims that Andrew used a bodyguard, a taxpayer-funded bodyguard, to obtain personal data about Virginia Giuffre, his late alleged abuse victim. And he basically said, reportedly said to his bodyguards, Get me some dirt on Virginia Giuffre, right? And an effort at damaging her reputation and her credibility. Can you believe that he used a taxpayer-funded employee to dig the dirt on someone who has accused Andrew of the most awful, awful crimes? Now, again, he denies the allegations, but these are shocking, shocking revelations. It's also really bad in relation to Sarah Ferguson, because it's now being reported that she relied on money from Jeffrey Epstein for 15 years, for over a decade and a half. It's quite outrageous. Now, royal sources are indicating that William, in particular, the Prince of Wales, wants stronger action on Andrew, including excluding Andrew from future royal life and events. He doesn't want Andrew coming to funerals and weddings, and like he did at the funeral of the Duchess of Kent when Andrew turned up trying to crack jokes with William. I've still got it, man. I've still got it. Oh, I've got an amazing address for girls' numbers. You wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it, William. I get so much action, man. William has got no interest. And what William's going to do, if Charles doesn't sort out this mess, then William will have to deal with it when he becomes king. And do you know what? That cannot happen too soon. Got some other big stories for you. Meghan Markle, right? With friends like this, who needs enemies? She has just taken a close friend down and taken him down to Chinatown. Now, Daniel Martin is Meghan's longtime friend and makeup artist, who, of course, appeared in With Love Meghan because she doesn't really know any people. She has no friends. So it has to be people on the payroll that pretend to like her. So Daniel Martin was her makeup artist on Suits. And he is a sweet guy. I don't have a problem with this Daniel Martin chap. A few of the journalists reviewing the show said he's really, really boring, like a leaden guest. Well, yeah, she didn't have much choice. She didn't have access to the Obamas and the Clooneys and Elton John and David Furnish. She didn't have access to Gwyneth. None of these people are interested in Meghan. They've all moved on. Meghan's been cancelled. How ironic. Well, it's very funny because now she's just cancelled her best mate. So this Daniel Martin guy, right? They're so close. Do you know what I mean? Real bosom buddies, apparently. But he's now in trouble with Meghan. So he was a regular on her Netflix lifestyle series With Love Meghan. He shared a behind-the-scenes video last week explaining how he created her glowing look for the Balenciaga show at Paris Fashion Week. Don't forget, the Balenciaga is this very, very weird fashion brand that used children and teddy bears dressed in bondage gear, and they thought that was appropriate. Meghan puts her name to that. Who's worse? Let me know in the comments. Who's worse, Meghan or Prince Andrew? Who's worse? Let me know in the comments. So he goes to her. Daniel Martin goes to Paris with Meghan to do her makeup. And this was Paris Fashion Week. In it, he described his techniques to keep her skin juicy and glowy. Let me tell you, there's nothing juicy about Meghan. Meghan is the least juicy person on the planet. Meghan is a hollowed out husk of a human being, right? Meghan is arid. Meghan is desiccated. She's as dry as a desert. There's nothing juicy and glowy about her. She is dry and not remotely glowy. She's the opposite. She's sort of a washed out, tired, sort of dishwater type person. And here is the thing, right? So there was a long flight near to improve her skin. And he said apparently he's trying to convince her to wear lipstick. I didn't know this, but Meghan doesn't wear lipstick. Who knew? I don't know why. Perhaps if she wore lipstick, then what the problem is that even lip readers would then know she was lying, wouldn't they? Because you'd see her mouth moving and saying all these things which aren't true. Like, I got married the day before my wedding and nobody asked me about my mental health while I was in Buckingham Palace. And the royal family are a bunch of racists. They're all a bunch of racists. And you would see, as you're wearing lipstick, the lip readers could tell that she was lying as well. So he does this video about Meghan, about how he organized her glow up and made her juicy and all the rest of it. But the video, wait for it, folks, the video suddenly disappeared from his feed earlier this week, right? Swiftly deleted. It was a little viral video. It did very well. It was deleted. And we know why. Because he has received a command from on high.
Hello, Daniel. It's Meghan Markle here. You put that video up on your Instagram, and I didn't like it very much. So take it down, or I will take you down to Chinatown, which is a neighborhood in a major city that contains lots of Chinese people and Chinese restaurants. With Chinatown, there's one in Sydney, I think, one in New York. Prince Harry is the Duke of New York. Did you know that? He doesn't like the skyscrapers. He gets vertigo. Chinatown.
So it's wild, right? Daniel Martin does a lovely, friendly, innocent little video. Very nice about his boss. Let's not call her his friend. Meghan is not his friend. Meghan doesn't have friends. Meghan is his boss. And he's on the payroll. And that's how Meghan likes it. That's why she wants to marry a billionaire. Is because she can just employ everyone in her life. Right? Everyone can be on the payroll. She can have 1,000 close friends who work for her. Because then she's got control. That's why she's working so hard at the moment with the Netflix shows and with the As Ever and all her social media. She's working so hard on that. And of course, she mentioned in Washington, D.C. about a business empire that she wants to build. She's doing that because she wants to be much richer than Harry. She wants Harry to be flat broke. It is perfect for her, for Harry to have no career and for the charity stuff to disappear, which it rapidly is. Centre Barley, smoking ruin of a charity, dumpster fire, PR-wise. The African Parks, another shambles. And then, of course, Invictus, they can't stand. The Invictus Games, the servicemen and women cannot stand the Sussexes. So Meghan's dream is for Harry to have no job, no money, no charitable causes, and be dependent on her for publicity, for any kind of identity, for money. I mean, her dream is for Harry to go,
"Oh, hi, Meghan. I'm just going to go to 7-Eleven in Montecito. I really like 7-Eleven, actually, because although it's a small supermarket, for some reason they have an awful lot of choice when it comes to fresh filter coffee. It's really odd that it's a really small shop, but then with like 11 different filter coffees, like Colombian, Ethiopian, Sumatra, Java, all these decaf, obviously. Anyway, I'm going to 7-Eleven, and I want to ask you, please may I have $4, because I'd like to buy some Hershey's chocolate, which is actually the world's greatest chocolate. I'd like to buy Hershey's, but I need $4.
Well, Harry, have you done all your jobs today? Have you cleaned the koi pond? Have you scraped the fungal residue from my feet? Have you bleached the bathrooms? Have you put Archie and Lily to bed and brushed their hair and read them a bedtime story? Have you made the lavender towels damp and put them in the refrigerator? Are the lavender towels in the refrigerator, Harry? If you've done all of those things, then update my website as well, please. You can tell my millions of viewers and listeners that I'm going to have a business empire, which is going to be worth millions, and you won't be involved because I'm planning for life after our marriage, as predicted by the Mark Dolan show, who's the first show in the world to put Harry and Meghan on 24/7 divorce watch.
Yes, no problem. I understand all of that, Meghan. Please be nice to me. Please don't give me one of your angry stares. And I just need $4 for some Hershey's chocolate bar. Thanks very much. I might try one of the many different coffees they've got at 7-Eleven. It's only a small supermarket, but like 7 or 8 different filter coffee options, which strikes me as a lot of resource for a small shop.
So this video, Daniel Martin, Daniel is driving tonight on a plane. Daniel's video, a lovely little video. There was nothing wrong with the video. But of course, Meghan was freaked out because she's a control freak. She must have control. I must control everything. You're welcome. And so the understanding is that she didn't like the video, right? A source close to her claimed the post was removed because Daniel Martin failed to mention every beauty product used on the trip and suggested an updated version might follow. Well, If that was true, then there would be an updated version. There is no updated version. Meghan didn't like the video. Because old Daniel Martin, Daniel is driving tonight on a plane. And the reason why is because Meghan didn't like the angle of her face, or he didn't like this, her skin wasn't juicy enough, even though she hasn't got a juicy bone in her body. So it's wild. And it's another example. It doesn't matter how good you are to Meghan, how nice you are, how permanently polite and always validating her, Meghan this, Meghan that, it doesn't matter. She will take you down, and she will take you down to Chinatown. And poor old Daniel Martin will join a list of cancelled loved ones alongside her ex-husband, Trevor Engelson, her half-siblings, Jessica Mulrooney, her close best friend, who made a completely innocent remark that was misinterpreted as some kind of prejudice thing, and Meghan chucked her under that Greyhound bus. Thomas Markle Jr., the ultimate example of Meghan's cancel culture. Well, I got a development on that because Thomas Markle, who we love on this show, don't we? What a sweet, kindly man who's a bit naive and a bit innocent and frankly, gave too much to Meghan all those years. If you think about it, he lived. So, top lighting director in Hollywood. He made good money. He won awards. Emmys, things like that. He won some awards. And he was at the top of his game as a lighting director. And he spent $500,000 on Meghan's education alone, right? $500,000. And then if you think about all the other stuff he spent on her with dinners and going out and acting classes, if you add it all up, you're looking at, $750,000 of his hard-earned cash he gave to Meghan. And now she won't speak to him and won't let him meet his grandchildren. And he's 81, living in a high-rise in the Philippines. He's in the Filipinas. Did you know that he lives now in the Filipinas? He does. In a high-rise, which overlooks the 7-lane highway. I'm not even joking. It is a true thing. And this poor man, right, he would now, he'd be a millionaire. If you think of all of the money that he spent on Meghan, if you put that in a high interest savings account, then it's worth over $1 million, isn't it, in a lifetime? So he would have the most comfortable existence. He'd be still in New York, California. He'd be in Hollywood, in Beverly Hills or somewhere, and just enjoying his life as a wealthy, respected 81-year-old former lighting director. Instead, he's living in relative poverty in a high-rise in the blinking Philippines with his lovely, loyal younger son, Thomas Markle Jr. Anyway, the latest is, and this will break your heart, folks, but he reportedly posed a heartbreaking question about his funeral, right? The guy's 81. He's now talking about his funeral. And this was in a conversation with a reporter who was with him during the recent earthquake in the Philippines. Thomas has been estranged from Meghan since 2018, by the way, the same year that she married Harry and officially joined the royal family. How did that work out? We know he wasn't at the wedding, of course. And basically, Caroline Graham is a brilliant, brilliant journalist and reporter. And she did a piece in the Daily Mail. And she wrote how she was terrified. She was worried. She was worried about this magnitude earthquake, right? 6.9% magnitude earthquake. And this hit as she met Thomas Markle. So she's with Thomas when the earthquake is happening, okay? The two of them get on very well, and it's a lovely thing, right? 19th floor of this high-rise apartment is where he was when the earthquake hit in Cebu in the Philippines. She then revealed that the pair talked for hours, at which point Thomas Markle Sr., Meghan's father, turned reflective. He asked her that if they died that day, so this is Thomas Markle, right, in a cheap high-rise in the Philippines. And he said, hey, Caroline, this is Thomas Markle Sr. He said, what would happen if we died today? I mean, this is so sad that Thomas Markle is, in this earthquake situation. He should be safe in California in a granny flat, right? He should be in a kind of smaller outbuilding on the Montecito estate is where he should be, right? Because Meghan had Doria for a few months. I think Doria, by the way, got sick of it and got the hell out. Doria's like, I'm not doing this. I'm not living with these losers any longer. And my other concern with Doria is I just wonder whether Harry, when she was living with the Sussexes, Harry maybe just constantly stole her stash of weed. It could be that. It could be that, Doria's like, I can't hang on to any of this weed because that boy, Harry, is always taking my weed. I don't know. By the way, I've got absolutely no evidence that Harry's back on the marijuana. In fact, I doubt it. He's been very clear about the fact that he's very clean living these days. But it's a provable fact that if you read his book, Spare, he took a lot of marijuana for many years. It's my view that he was baked for a decade. Absolutely baked. Just baked. But anyhow, so Doria had enough, and I don't blame Doria for that. She's sick of the couple, sick of Meghan's narcissism, and sick of Harry feeling sorry for himself and wandering around the place like the world's least happy millionaire. Oh, my terrible life. So Thomas Markle is saying to this lovely Caroline Graham lady, she said that Tom, during the earthquake, turned reflective. He said if they died that day with the disaster happening around them, he said, do you think Meghan will come to my funeral? That's what he said. The poor man said, do you think Meghan will come to my funeral? Lightening the mood, she then claimed he also asked with a chuckle, will I get a better funeral because my son-in-law is fifth in line to the throne? I mean, isn't that adorable? Because he does have a great sense of humor. And even in that tragic moment when he's in fear for his life with a 6.9 magnitude earthquake, he reflects on his funeral and then makes a joke that, well, clearly, the funeral will be posher because my son-in-law is fifth in line to the throne. A son-in-law that he doesn't speak to, that he doesn't have access to, a daughter that he doesn't speak to, doesn't have access to, two grandchildren that he doesn't speak to and doesn't get access to. Let me know in the comments, by the way, do you think that Thomas Markle should sue Harry and Meghan for access to those kids? Because I think he should. We should probably start a Thomas Markle crowdfunder to reunite him with his kids. Don't grandparents have some kind of legal claim to spend time with their grandchildren? And if not, they should, because the grandparent is among the greatest figures in your life. And sadly, my grandparents are gone, but I have cherished memories of my time with my grandparents. Because grandparents are, it's like they're like your parents because they have the shared genetics. So there is that natural instinct to look out for you and have your best interests at heart. That is very, primal. That is just in the hard drive. That's built in. But then also they are a bit more relaxed than the parents, aren't they? Because they're retired, if they're lucky. Hopefully they're retired. They've got time and they can enjoy the grandkids. Because it's hard for parents, isn't it? When you've got kids, by the way, you're just chasing your tail, aren't you, all day long? You're covering your rent and the mortgage. You're keeping the bills paid. You're putting food on the table. You're clothing the kids. You've got to get them up in the morning, get them to school. You're in the rat race. It's a struggle. It's a daily struggle. And for the grandparents, they don't have those immediate pressures and they can enjoy the company of the kids. And of course, at the end of the day, they hand the kids back. So the grandparent to grandchild relationships are very special things, very precious. Some of my greatest memories are with my grandparents. And I think that it's a crime that Meghan is so cruel and vindictive that she won't grant that to Thomas Markle, who's in a blinking skyscraper with a 6.9 magnitude thing being thrown around the place like this. Oh my God, this is a terrible earthquake. And knowing that he won't meet his grandchildren, because we know, don't we, he will never meet his grandkids. He won't see his grandkids, ever. And I think he has a legal right, and I think he should call a great lawyer in California, where they have the best lawyers, and he should just sue for access to those kids. Parents have rights to kids, to see them, and I don't think that grandparents do, and I think they absolutely should. So there you go, folks. Listen, it's been great to chat. Cannot wait to see you for tomorrow's video. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. So many more big stories to get through. I'm sitting on so much, and I hope you enjoyed these views of central London. This is a A lovely city, isn't it? By the way, there is a reason why I had to use this rather bland background, and it's because it was raining so much. I was actually on that bridge earlier, and the tripod was being thrown around the place, and the rain was going onto the viewfinder of the camera, which it will now again in a second. Oh, look at this terrible, terrible weather. Ruining my hair. But what I will say is that I do have a nice view for you now that we'll finish off with. And this is, well, there's two things actually. You've got HMS Belfast, which is a famous British warship. Let's have a look at that. There you go. That's when we had the best navy in the world. Pretty cool, I think you'll agree. Very nice. And then there is Tower Bridge, which is a thing of beauty as well. Folks, it's been great to chat. Go and have a great day. And I will see you for the next edition of the Mark Dolan Show. Let me know what you're loving, what you don't love. And bye for now. Daniel is driving tonight on a plane. I can see the red tail lights headed for Spain.